From one of Australia's former leading homicide detectives, this is I Catch Killers with Gary Jubelin.
In part one of my sit-down with Ian Roberts, we talked about his football career, the discrimination he faced, and the pressures of coming out as a gay man. We're now going to talk about a very dark period in Ian's life, when Arron Light, a young boy he cared for and helped, was brutally murdered, and the guilt Ian feels for what happened. Ian also told us about his time at NIDA, his acting career, his personal battles, and what he is doing to make the world a kinder place. This was a very raw and emotional discussion with a powerful message. That message being the importance of being true to yourself. I think Ian considers himself as an average man, but he found himself in extraordinary situations, and he discovered who he is, and I think has made the world a better place. Have a listen. Ian, welcome back to I Catch Killers. You've made it to part 2.
Yeah, okay. You sound like that's a bar. Most people.
No, you're doing well. Look, in part 1, I appreciate your openness and honesty about what you went through as a prominent, high profile, one of the highest profile footballers in the country, and then coming out gay and how that played out. I mentioned in part 1 that I want to talk about the murder of Arron Light, and this is, I apologise there because I know it digs up some bad, heavy memories for you. Set of circumstances in terms of when Arron came into your life. When did you first meet Arron?
It would have been about 1990. I was living at Camperdown. He was in the Camperdown Children's Hospital. I was just over there on a visit.
Yep.
That was a thing we used to do. It was either 89 or 90 because I can't remember. I still to this day can't remember if it was with South or with Manly. And Arron was in hospital. I was living in Camperdown. He was in the Camperdown Children's Hospital there. He was about 9 or 10. And he'd been... he'd been in hospital for quite a while. Even at that stage, he had complications with a knee injury. Yeah, and he was in this medieval contraption that was there was pins going in like it was just
had it all in traction.
Yeah, it was. And he was just this kid who was really cheeky, and I kind of like. Because he was so cheeky and he wasn't a football supporter or rugby league supporter, he was just this kid had a real sense of humour and wit about him. He started criticising us and bagging us.
And this is, you guys turn up as a footballers coming in to cheer the kids up.
Autograph, whatever, it was one of those footy trips.
So he was giving it back to you.
Yeah, but he was just like, what are you doing here? Oh, you're just doing it, for the publicity. It was quite beyond his years. Like, he was quite sharp, It was just like, hey, what are you doing? Yeah. And then he said, you won't come back here or something. It was something like that, And I said, well, I live across the road. I'm just going to come back here to annoy you. It was one of the, and that's kind of how our relationship started. He was in hospital. I couldn't tell you how long it was for, mate, for a long time. He had so many complications with this knee. But I'm saying, probably 3 or 4 months, I'd pop in every couple of weeks or whatever, say g'day, and we ended up just becoming kind of friends. Yeah. I know that sounds weird, but Yeah. Well, it was like it sounds. It was just ended up becoming a mate. He got out of hospital. And he had my phone number. He'd ring up every so often and say, how you going, whatever. I suppose in the next couple of years, I only saw him once, maybe. We went to the movie. I took him to the movies or something. Met his dad. And then didn't see him again for a little while. Then what year was that? Must be 93, 94. Bumped into him on the street. Yep. I was with a friend of mine, my flatmate, Kirsty, and we kind of just struck up a friendship again. He wasn't living at home. He said he was living in and around the Cross.
So
crossing Bondi.
Fall on hard times.
Yeah, but he was always streetwise. You know, I used to think, bumped into him on the street, and I took him to the game the next day. Met him and his mate Elliot. I think his mate's name was Elliot Little, who's also he disappeared as well. Never been found.
Right.
Yeah. And then. I don't know what else to tell you, mate. Like he stayed in touch. We were still living at Camperdown at that stage.
And so did he? He was about 15 at the time.
Yeah.
And did he move in with you guys?
Eventually, he did. It stayed like that. He'd come over once or twice a week at that stage. He used to tell me he used to make money from like it sounds terrible to say, but like breaking into cars and that type of thing, and selling dope and.
Well, you grew up around housing
I
commission.
I get
that is a world.
Yeah. I'm not for me to judge a 15-year-old kid. What happened was one night he rang me. He was very upset. I went and I just asked him where he was. He said he was in his squat at Bondi. Went down to Bondi. Well, he didn't say it was a squat. He said his hostel. And it wasn't a hostel. It was just a squat. An old house. It was walked in there. It was not good. It was really it was just an old. The house was. It's since been. It was it was pulled down. Yeah. Demolished. He'd just been staying there. Him and a couple of other young blokes. I just said, I'll grab your stuff, mate. You come and stop with us for a while. Yeah. We had a spare bedroom at that time. I was then with my partner, Shane. Kirsty was in the other room, and Arron. So we kind of made a deal. Like, he had been coming over like once or twice a week anyway, and Kirsty was looking after him, like cleaning his clothes and
providing him a base by the sound of it.
It's anyway. And we kind of decided, you can stay here with us, but so mate, you got to go to school. That was the only thing, and you got to reach out to your mum and dad, and so that's what happened. And it was good. Like, for the first few months, he for whatever reason, we were living at Camperdown. He wanted to go to Vaucluse High. Yeah. I don't know why, but but he did. He got up every morning and caught a couple of and he was living a normal life. And he was.
And you thought he was heading in the right direction?
Yeah, like he was good. He was always his cheeky. Like, me and him used to, upstairs where we lived in a nice place. There was a pool, like a lap pool upstairs. There was a tennis court upstairs on the roof, a gym, a sauna. Yeah. Like, I trained with him every so often, like in the gym and that. I was just his mate. Like, I will say this, Arron always had a problem with authority. Yeah. Didn't have much of an opinion of police. He just... Yeah. Absolutely was dead against the police. But I was, we used to make him ring his mum and dad. I can honestly say, like, one of the only males in his life that he respected, I
know it's probably hard for you talking about it on there, but there was a genuine affection and love between the whole group of you.
Yeah, and he knew I was gay as well. That's the other thing. And like, he never had a problem with Shane. He was always totally respectful. Yeah. Like, he was perfect. Like, he was so respectful. He was like, he used to tell me, I don't care. You guys are, you're my mates. You're my buddies. Yeah, yeah. And that's exactly like it, which was. Because we did. It's hard to explain, mate. Like, we had spoken about the situation, what it might look like. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll say it because it's part of your concern was that you got a young kid living with you. Yeah. You've come out as gay.
That's why I wanted him to stay in touch with his family, his mum and dad. I wanted them to know. Like, I'd speak to them occasionally.
A genuine act of kindness, but a high risk potentially.
Just to be clear, honestly, it wasn't just an act of kindness. It wasn't about kindness. It was just this. It was like he was my friend. Yeah. People really struggle to understand that. Like, even the whole coroner's inquest, they struggle to understand. It's like, this young man is my friend.
Yeah.
Like this young boy is my friend. Like it's like that was because I was, at that stage, I don't know, I would have been nearly 30, 29, 28, something like that. And he was like 50, but people don't get that he was my friend.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean that quite in the true sense of the word, mate, like friend.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to,
No, I think the way you're explaining it, it's understandable. Understandable.
Yeah.
So it went, then there was dramas that happened, or did he go off the rails or start to...
I had the police ring me one day and asked if they could come around and see me, and I asked them what it was about. They said about Arron, and so when they came, they told me what he had been involved in previously. That they also said to me that they knew now the house had been under surveillance.
Right.
They were quite aware that he was going to school and all that. That was all a shock as well. More than, I don't know, just a shock. It was. My head was spinning.
Because they basically said that he was caught up in a pedophile ring.
He'd been checked at pedophiles' houses and that type of thing, and that was before he was living with us. Yeah. That's how he'd been supporting himself.
And it put you in a potentially difficult position.
Yeah, and this is where this becomes hard, because I hear what you're saying, but I knew from that moment that it was. I was thinking about, I was worried about. I'd just come out and all that, and just like people are going to surmise what they think's happened, and but it's. Anyway, the police wanted me to bring it up with him and see if he'd make some statements against these people, because they'd had other young kids who weren't willing to make the statements that their parents had.
And I just put on record too here, Ian, that I know the police officer that was involved in it, and they've said at first they're looking at everyone with suspicion. That's just the cop mentality. But they soon realised that. I will say the police person that I was in touch with, he was absolute champion, mate. He for as much as he could, he put me at ease. He just said, you are not a suspect in this thing. We realise the reason we come to you, we realise is Arron trusts you, and he's in a safe space here, and he's not been checked at those people's places ever since he's been living here. Which is reassuring, but it's also not reassuring. Just like, and it's. They asked me if because I also knew that he had a real issue with authority and talking to police. And they asked you to help.
They asked me to ask.
Yeah.
And I always say, mate, it's given my time over again, it was this. I would have done exactly the opposite to what I ended up doing.
Yeah.
I said that I would talk to him. And I would talk to him, and because I didn't even know what I was thinking that day. It was just like everything was a blur, mate. It was almost like it's hard to explain. My head was spinning. I'd just come out as this gay man. I was just like, I can just see the newspapers now.
Understandable.
It's just I was just getting ready to sign a contract to go to not just with News Limit, not with Super League. That wasn't the reason I went to Townsville, because it was as far away from Sydney as that. Yeah. That's why I ended up going there. Anyway. So Arron the police left, Arron came home, told him, and it's like one of those moments. I just wish, knowing what I know now, I just wish that I'd said to the police officer that day, I'm not going to bring this up to him. He's in a safe space now, mate. He's welcome to. I'm not going to destroy his life.
So that's part of what you're carrying.
I just if I had said nothing to Arron, I'm sure that the boy he'd still be alive today. I really wish that I just said, no, he's in a safe space now. He's in a good. Him and his mates would come around, and he had a girlfriend at one stage. It was.
getting his
he
life
was really,
in
he
order.
was just getting things. He was really happy. Like things were good. Like he was this, had a really nice. He was this. I was like, yeah, he was just this good kid.
And what the feelings that you got, the regrets, is that the police wanted you to encourage him to give evidence.
Yeah, and when he came home, I had that conversation. This finding is really difficult, mate. Yeah, it was the worst thing. It was just, it's talk about. I don't know how to say it. Regret's not a big enough word, mate. I just know now that I really let him down. I really let him down, and like I feel like I've. That moment. It's still like I thought I was okay with this, and just talking about it now, it's just like I really let him down. Like I just, from the person he trusted, he loved me. He so respected me and cared about me. Yeah, and I just let him down.
And like hindsight's, we're all wise with hindsight. I mean, in that situation, you're trusting the police. The police obviously trying to do the right thing. It's a kid's been caught up in a situation, and they're trying to stop horrendous criminals. But you sit here in hindsight. Who knows how it turns out? And I see. Let me say this. I see a lot of people when murders have happened and situations have happened, and there's a lot of self-blame for the people left behind. But look at what you're doing. You guys were helping him get his life in order, pointing him in the right direction. Come from friendship and care. So that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Gary, and I appreciate you saying that. But the truth, I mean, the absolute truth is, I know the truth, and I just know that wasn't my sole motivation at that point. I was terrified people would jump to the wrong conclusion, right?
Yeah.
That was, and that's what hurts so much. I just, knowing what I know now and how things, I wouldn't give a fuck if everyone thought I was a pedophile.
Yeah.
Like it sounds awful. Like he'd still be alive. Like it. I don't even know how to explain it, mate.
Well,
I get what you're saying. So
I understand where you're coming from, and it's a heavy heart. I'm sitting here listening to you beat up on yourself about it, and but also be kind to yourself that at that time, perfectly understandable what you were going through. That it's an extraordinary set of circumstances you found yourself in.
Yeah. It's. I do know that conversation with Arron changed everything after that, because he just he agreed to make statements, and I went to Townsville. I just wanted to get out of Sydney.
Yeah.
He went downhill terribly. I wasn't there. It's weird. I wasn't there. I just wanted to be away, not away from him. I was always thinking about him and caring about him, but I was just terrified of, I just turned up in Townsville as they made me captain. I just started seeing, just prior to Arron moving in, just after Arron moved in, Shane and I had broken up. Sorry, that was just prior to Arron moving in, and then just when I went to Townsville, I met another my partner then, Andrew. Andrew and I stayed together for 6 years, and we're still best friends now. But I always felt, and then, I wish I was being clearer, mate. It is kind of weird.
I think in the way you're articulating it, it's understandable, and I hear the heavy heart that you had with it, and the emotions that come with it, and I can't change that. I can just, but what I can say is, an experience as a homicide detective, there's not a murder I've seen where someone innocent that has nothing to do with it blames themselves when it's all said and done. For those that don't know that. After you moved up there, Arron was disappeared prior to giving evidence against pedophiles.
Yep.
And he's skeletal remains were found not far from here at St. Peter's.
It's terrible, mate. Like, you know how they... it's awful. Even the way they discovered that it was Arron, or they found out that that it was Arron's body.
Yeah.
His knee, because he had such complications when I first met him with his knee. His knee had become quite deformed.
Yeah.
It was like a bulbous type of thing.
Yeah.
That's how they discovered it was Arron's body, from the bulbous knee. Yeah, they didn't know who it was at first. Yeah.
How did you process the whole thing? Like when you found out that what had happened to him?
He'd been, like, the last time I spoke to Arron too was in 1997. I was just preparing for remember the Tri Series that Super League used to have?
Yeah.
So it was for the I think it was the second game. And anyway, but I was just packing my bags, getting ready to leave Townsville to go into camp, and I got a phone call off a policeman. Arron had been arrested again for stealing, and he wouldn't talk to police. But the only person he'd talk to was me.
Yeah.
So they'd phoned me up and put him on, and I was trying to calm him down. But he was screaming, and he was angry at me by that stage as well.
Yeah.
Like, which is quite entitled. He was so entitled to be that way. It just felt like he was alone. He was saying that stuff, and I was trying to convince him to cooperate with the police, and he was seeing a lawyer that I'd put him in touch with.
Yeah.
He disappeared 3 days later. And that was it. Arron's body was found in 2002. God, it's just, it's just weird. That was the last time I spoke to him. It was here's one of those moments when what he said, but he was so spot on. Like, I had so let him down. He disappeared. Like I said, 3 days. He left the police station, disappeared. I was supposed to give evidence 3 days later. Never turned up in court.
And the murder's still unsolved.
Yes.
At this point in time.
Yeah.
They had an inquest. You got dragged into the inquest.
Yeah, the inquest was quite the process, mate. And anyone who knows anything about a coroner's inquest knows that there are interested parties who can ask you questions.
Yes.
A couple of those parties were pedophiles.
Yeah.
Well, suspected. One of them was suspected, which is quite intimidating.
They're grubs.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, mate. Like, it's kind of the whole Arron, I did it again. I nearly said the whole Arron experience as if it was just an experience in my life. It's just, it's hard to explain, but it's you don't do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. You just do the right thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Just do the right thing.
Yeah.
And it is one of those, anyway, consequences, knock-on effects.
It's a heavy burden to carry for you, and I hope you're not being too hard on yourself. And we're actually doing a doco on it, mate, which allows me to speak about it like in depth and. I'd be interested to see it when it comes out, because I know it's.
I've got to be honest, mate. I thought I was. This is the first time I've spoken about it for a little while. I thought I was ready to talk about it, but that was, I actually, I can feel that weight, whatever that. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm not.
It's you don't get. People say you can get closure from.
But I just want to say this, mate, he was such a good kid, mate. He was just, like every time people speak about Arron, they talk how tragic. Well, he was such a good kid. He was such a lively, this lively, funny, the cheekiest.
Yeah.
He was more of an adult than I was.
I like the fact, and you see a lot of the kids round here in these type of areas in the housing commission areas.
Streetwise, right?
Streetwise, but I like the fact that a 9-year-old laying there in hospital can give it to you, big tough footballers coming in and give you cheek. It says a lot about the character of the.
You're doing it for the PR. He was just a good soul, mate.
Well, and I'm sure people have said, and people smarter than I have said, well, good on you for making his life good for a period of time. And
again, I feel like fortunate that I met him, mate.
I had a look at the case, just what's on record, and it's still unsolved at this stage. We've unsolved, and anyone that's got any information, and I saw some of the stuff that went on at the inquest. I had a bit of a look at that, and these convicted pedophiles, and I've seen convicted pedophiles give evidence at coronial inquest. I wouldn't trust a word they say or give any respect. They're despicable human beings. How has it changed you, the way you look at life?
It's just about respect and judgment, and just like quality of life, and just like I don't know, like it sounds dicky, mate. Enjoy the small things, mate. Like just seeing John, like I can say this to you now because Johnny. Like just seeing Johnny the other day. Like make an effort to get out and see people, see old friends. Like I have felt like as you get older, you not your clothes off, but you for some reason but just being aware that hey, and you got to reach out to people, just say how they're going. Just stay in touch. Like it's simple things.
I think and we touch on Johnny, and you're not the first person. You won't be the last person that mentions him. I've had good guys, bad guys, everyone come through, and the amount of influence. But you touched on something I hadn't really thought about with Johnny. The effort he does make to reach out to people. And he is always, every day, he's catching up with someone, or he'll just phone you out of the blue or whatever. And maybe that is part of the secret to life.
It is, mate. As you get older, mate, as you get, particularly as you get older, again, you're when you, I said this before, when you're 20, you're never going to be 60. Yeah. My mum's 85, but I just we spoke about it before, just... My mum still has regrets in that, when I was talking about the way I came out and stuff like that, it's like it's everything starts with a conversation. Yeah. Just judgment, just don't be so eager to judge. Like it's we've all got shit going on
and no one's perfect.
Yeah.
And you can
you've heard all that before 1,000 times, but I think as you get older, it's just like I'm wealthy, and it's got nothing to do with money. That's how I feel, and I can say that quite openly. Particularly the last 6 months, the last 6 to 12 months, I've felt like I had this whole different, this awakening for me in life, and just how precious, how wonderful it is. My relationships, with both my sisters, my brother and my mum, the best they've ever been. And but that comes from making an effort and being aware that, I have a wonderful relationship with my partner, and my partner's family, his mum and his sister and her family.
How you said it was 20 years you've been together?
Dad and I have been together nearly 20 years.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, even that, I'm so grateful for that. I mean, my ex-partner's like Andrew, who's with 70. He's still in my he's someone I still love and care for. Shane, who passed away, he was still in my life. I'm really grateful that they're part of my family, and I'm really grateful that my current partner Dan feels he realizes. That they're part of our family. I'm really grateful.
Well, you've done well to get that, because there's so many people that don't have that type of situation. But if you've spent some time with people, it's in a relationship, it's sad if it goes sour. And
I get things do go sour and all that. And I'm not judging anyone, but I just I'm really grateful for Andrew, because if I don't meet Andrew, I don't meet Daniel.
Yeah.
You know, like at the end of, like not only for that reason, but you can think of it like I've been very fortunate, mate.
Okay. A period of time that you've described as your most content is when you went to NIDA.
Yeah.
So tell us about that experience.
I loved it, mate. Like I said, I was always a show off as a kid. I was. I mean, I used to love getting out there and showing off and running. I used to think I can't dance, and I can't sing. Well, that's not true, actually.
I'm checking my notes. Dancing with the Stars.
I made the final, mate.
I know.
Always a bridesmaid. I was runner up. It was great, mate. It was like I was terrible, mate. It was like. But it was so much fun. Natalie Lowe, who was my partner in that, we had such a wonderful just a really good friendship, and we started training for that. Like, it's kind of a weird process. The show runs for 10 weeks, and we started training for that about 6 weeks before the first episode. And I knew, but again, it was a bit like I'd been through NIDA by that stage, and I kind of realised the art sort of thing. Sometimes you just got to let things get into your body, and that's what dancing is. You got to let it get into your body. It's not, left foot, right foot, left. Or if you're doing that, you're not dancing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Feel the vibe.
But it took me a while to understand that too. And then about 7 weeks into the run of the show, so I've now been dancing with Nat for 13 weeks, and she was like Australian champion. She'd been world champion. She was wonderful, and she was so patient with me. Is when I had one of those moments. I said, I don't know if I said when I was playing footy. Sometimes you get into that. You have those stages in your career where you're supremely confident
in the zone.
You're in the zone, in that flow, whatever. Yeah. I've had those stages. I've had those moments on stage as well, where you think, oh, I get it. Oh my God, everything just kind of opens up and it's like, I get it. I get what we're doing here. Well, same thing with the dancing thing. Like 13 weeks in, we were doing the cha-cha. Oh, no, it was a tango. I'll listen to you. And I just remember, and it just kind of dropped in when we were on air, and just like, I get this stuff. It's just enjoy the music, and just let it in your body, and you're moving now. You're like, it was one of those really beautiful moments. You just think, so I didn't learn to dance until week 13. I won't say learn to dance, understand what the art of dancing was.
Out of all the things you've done, total respect for that, because I reckon I'd prefer to run out against a pack of marauding Fords and do Dancing with the Stars. That's.
Yeah, but it was.
That would have been a lot of pressure.
Again, like I was lucky I had Nat, because we were just having fun, right?
Yeah,
she knew, I was like Frankenstein, I was terrible, but it's almost like she created this monster, she molded it,
All right, what have we got to work with here?
And we, but. The good thing is, because we were having such a good time together, and I was always apologising to her on air, and I'm saying that I'm such a knucklehead, and but it was honest. Like, I just felt like she was this incredible dancer, and she's moving around with this plank, like it was me, and she's moving me around, and I think the audience kind of fed that I was just enjoying myself, and we were just enjoying ourselves. I mean, we used to score the lowest, but we get voted on. We kept in by the audience votes and all that stuff. It was wonderful, mate.
That comes across, doesn't it? If you're enjoying it.
Such a nice experience, mate. It was such a. I think in the final we even scored a 10. We didn't deserve it, but we just had such a good. Like, it was. Yeah, it was one of those.
She finally got that lump of wood.
Oh, she was great, mate. She was such a beautiful person.
Oh, good on you for having a go. Now, going back to NIDA, what was it like going from the culture of the football team into the creative types in the artistic world?
Well, I went there as a, inverted commas, mature age student, because I went there after I played footy, and I'd already come out. I was going there as this guy who had this public profile as a gay man, like sports person. There was a lot of. And I don't blame the doubters originally. A lot of teachers thought it was a bit of a PR thing, maybe. Okay. And I totally understand that.
Yeah.
But Kevin Jackson, who I spoke about before, had total confidence in me, and that kind of gave me confidence, because I knew how well respected Kevin was in the industry. Yes, it was, and because I was the youngest person in our class, Rowan was 17 or 18,
yeah.
17 I think it was. And the oldest apart from me I think was it Chris? About 26, 27.
Okay, so
I was much older. I was about 34, 35, right? But I think going there as a mature, like I said, as a bit older, it kind of did help me because, I was being serious. I was going there with full intent of giving it my best shot. Yeah. But this wasn't rocket science. We weren't saving lives. Yeah. This is artistry and creativity and. A lot of the younger people thought, this is their make or break time. This is when they had to. This next 3 years, they were going to go from here to Hollywood type thing. Yeah. And I understand the intensity, and they were like so intense. Yeah. It used to blow me away just how focused. So I think we kind of benefited each other. And we've since spoken about it. We had our 20th anniversary a couple of years ago. Yeah. We all got together. And of the 25 people that were in the class, 23 came to the. We spent a weekend away.
So it was a big connection.
We stayed. Yeah. We're still in touch with each other. We have a WhatsApp thing. We all stay in touch. So it's pretty good. Out of 20, 25, 23 of us are still in touch, and we're all still good friends. And even though I've said that, me being a bit older. Did kind of help them too, because I did butt heads a couple of times with some people, some teachers and that. Yeah. Just like, for whatever reason, I was a dickhead as well. But just feeding off their energy, like their total commitment and the way they surrendered to these like movement classes and stuff like. I was a bit like scratching my head.
Make like a tree and
whatever, it's true, right? Like all this stuff, but they totally surrendered to it, and it's not until again one of those moments when you allow yourself to go there. I kind of get this now. It was like. I kind of understand. Like I didn't quite understand it, but I kind of did. And then in second year, it was second year. Even like in first year, I had this moment. I was with Kate Box, who's quite a well-known actor now, Kate, champion. She's a fantastic actress. We were doing this. I'm trying to think the name of the play. I can't think of the name. Anyway, but Kate was the lead. She was a female lead, and I was a male lead. And we were in this scene together. And because I'd learnt my lines, and it was the end of the first year. It was the first play I'd ever done. But I remember being like on stage with her, and I had this moment. I just kind of had to check myself because I really, cause she was so good, right? Like she was so fantastic, but they all were. Like I was like the novice here, right? Yeah. They were all so good. I didn't know who I was. I was just like,
she just changed.
I didn't know. Am I talking, Kate? Are you? I don't know if I was talking to Kate Box or the character, or I was just like, she was so real. I got like. Kind of threw me. It really threw me. I didn't know where I was. I was just like, I don't know. I didn't know how to respond. Yeah. But she's just been like she's fantastic, right? But it was one of those moments. I was just, it kind of scratched the surface for me a bit. And I kind of just got to peer in and see
that's what you got to aim for.
This other world. It's like, oh my God, if I can do that, And then in second year, I had one of those. Wonderful moments where it just dropped. Like again, just that one moment. If I'm comparing it to sport where you're in complete control, it's just like complete confidence,
It clicked.
And like it just dropped in. I was on stage. I was doing this. It was what's the name of the play? It was an Irish play. It'll come to me anyway. But it dropped, and I just like I get this. Yeah. It was almost like, oh my God, everything slowed down. It was like this perfect. I was totally aware of the audience and their responses and the other people on stage and how we were all working together. And there was this overhang of what the actual picture, the story was about. It was almost like, oh my God, I can see this whole other world. It's just been opened up to me. Yeah. And that's what the arts do. Right, like, and then I said that about dancing, and later, like the arts are amazing for creativity and just give you an insight into seeing other stuff that, like I was blind. Like I really like it. I kind of feel like before I went to NIDA, I was seeing the world in black and white. Yeah. And like it sounds a bit weird, but
I get what you're saying. It opened the world.
Oh, I did know. It was this whole other world that got opened to me that I had been living alongside, and I'd never dip my toe in the pond.
Well, you've gone from extremes because they must have done something right because you've had a good body of work with films and TV
I mean I've done. We speak about this too. I mean I've been quite lucky, but in truth, if I had to survive on my acting checks, I'd go quite hungry. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean I have it's for 20 years now, but I have been working on and off consistently for 20 years.
Drop some of the movies you made appearances on TV shows.
It sounds a bit dicky saying Superman and Furious.
Run with it.
Yeah, but there's been a whole load of like small. I mean, when I went over in the States, I did like 30 movies in the States. Like most of them were B grade. I was there for about 4 years.
Yeah.
But it had some leads over movies like Saltwater. Like even doing those smaller B grade, some of them were slasher movies. But it was how do I explain this? It kind of scratches that itch you get like as a performer, the creativity.
Yeah.
And I'm not like now started. Well, I have been writing for a long time, but having stuff that's actually being acknowledged, like it sounds a bit, I'm not patting myself on the back.
You're starting to annoy me. You're a high achiever. We tick off the football, play for the country, and the movies that you've starred in, you started writing. You got an award last year for writing a play. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Into the Light. It's a play that I started writing. I started writing about 5 years ago. Then another friend came on board, and we got it. Yeah, it's just picked up. We're trying to get it produced up on stage. But it's even that type of thing. It is. Again, like I said before, I've been living alongside these other worlds that I've never. Yeah. Even the writing world, like it's another one of those things. You get to. I get to glimpse into this other world.
Yeah.
And it's this of creativity and, the one thing. I couldn't read and write at school, and the one thing when I look back now that if I had my time over and I kind of knew as a young person some of the stuff that I've learned, I would learn to play a musical instrument and learn another language.
Yeah,
that's two things I really wish I'd spent some time doing.
You don't have an appreciation of what that can bring to your life if you pick up a skill set like that.
Yeah, and just the way it opens. It gives opportunities or insight into other stuff that you're not even aware of. Like it just education. I mean, education. It's like it's our means and
it
tolerance
broadens minds and.
It's wonderful, mate.
I think it's interesting the experiences you've gone from different worlds, and I've found it invigorating when my career in the cops ended, and then I ended up into in the media, entertainment, and different things, and it's like a new lease of life and new challenges, and I think we were saying before we came on, I love hanging out with creative people. And in the cops, it was a lot of black and white thinking. A few people were creative, and but all said and done, it was a lot of black and white thinking, and then come into a different world, and you got these creative types.
It's fascinating, mate. Being around other people, and you're just reading a script, and then you reading the script, and then them being in the room with them reading the script, and they see something completely different, and you're like, oh my God, how didn't I see that? Like, oh my God, I didn't see that colour. I've missed all that texture. I've missed that whole other world that you've just created. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that is like, and that's what I mean by having these whole other worlds that I never knew existed.
Well, the first article I wrote for the papers, it read like a fact sheet. And okay, you got to broaden it up. When you went there, what was the colour of the house, or what were the steps like that you walked up? Instead, it was at such and such a time. So I had to change the way I as you've said, the way you look at life, because I've got to look at the broader picture. Before it was just the facts, and
black and white.
That was my writing. So
that's why I love theatre, mate. I mean, I was just like, that you would hope. I mean, theatre. The group I'm a part of called Think About It, like theatre is about, it's you would hope a good theatre production that you go and see opens your mind up, make them laugh, make them cry, make them think. You know what I mean? That's and seeing it visually and,
that's the way it sinks
in touch, and like always, there's the fourth wall and all that, but you still connect. Like that's what I mean. It's like the connection you have with the actors, and you're sitting in front. And I love like film and
what you're doing with that work that you're doing there. Where are you delivering that to?
We started out doing that with the NRL.
Yep.
Just touching on they're still having problems with their players. They were having problems with their players 15 years ago, and they just wanted some sort of program where they could talk about this stuff and hopefully educate. There was a thing that was being done, not the same, but somewhat similar. They'd seen this thing in the US where players had got up on stage and they'd acted out some stuff, in impro, and so we kind of developed something not the same. This is much more engaging, and it was we were speaking about stuff that it was uncomfortable for players to speak about openly, but we use a lot of humour. I said before, we speak about stuff like like violence towards women, misogyny, drugs in sport, homophobia, bullying, it's stuff that like the way you spend your money and like security, like a whole load of different stuff. And then we get some players up involved and in the scenes, the actors on stage, we know where it's driving through to, so we keep them in check, driving forward, and then we have a discussion. But again, we use a lot of humour, and we make fun of ourselves all the time. So it's serious stuff,
Good way to get a message across.
Yeah, it is. It's been fantastic. And like since doing the NRL, we now do the AFL, the ARU, A-League, basketball, most of the major sports. Contact sports in Australia. We also do corporations. We're doing the Australian Border Force at the moment. We've done a whole load of banks, a lot of corporations.
If people want to reach out to you, how do they
think
find
about
you?
it. .com. Think about it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been really, really successful, and it's great because you get to touch base and speak with people still involved creatively and in the sporting world. And
it's good, good combination.
Yeah, it is good. It is, and it's creative. It's also it's part of the creative process as well.
Yeah. Another thing that you've spoken out about, concussion injuries in football. What's your take on that, and what's the impact that it's had on you? Because you've experienced it and you're going through it.
Mate, when I was over in the States, I was in the States from about 2012 to 2015, and a few other times for 6 months, a few other times in between those periods. I was always pretty good. I started noticing I had an issue with my memory. It was when I was over in the States. I was always pretty good with auditions.
Yeah.
Getting the stuff down and getting in, and then being able to play around with the lines, during the process. So I didn't have to worry about recalling the lines all the time. I could worry about what was actually happening in the scene. But I just started to feel a bit like things just didn't seem as sharp for a little while. Then I had a couple of episodes where I lost time. And what I mean by that was I was driving the car. The first time I was driving the car, then I kind of lost 2 hours and I was at home. Nothing had happened to me, obviously, because I got home. I just lost 2 hours. Then another time, about 2 weeks later, I was in the shower, then I was on the bed eating my dinner, and a couple of hours had passed by, and I just couldn't remember. The second time was much scarier than the first time. I just thought maybe I don't know, like it was kind of weird just to come to somewhere. But my dad got sick. I came back to Australia. My dad passed away, and I ended up having some tests.
Yeah.
And they saw there was a little bit of damage there, my reactive time, and that wasn't as good as sharp as it should have been. And I did, and again, I come back to the audition and the process of learning lines. I just didn't feel as sharp as what I normally. That's how I knew something was going on. I just wasn't as confident.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit of a worry. Mate, I had then I had a couple more episodes middle of last year. Fainted a couple of times. One of those was like a heart attack. I had a defibrillator put in.
Okay.
And the reason I had that put in, not the reason, but I was, as soon as they said, look, we think you should have a defibrillator. My ex-partner Shane, who I've spoken about a lot in this thing, he passed away. He had a heart attack last year, and we spoke. But he had a condition. He had a heart kit, and I said to the doc, would he have been okay if he'd had something like this? He would have stood a chance anyway. And I said, "I just put it in them, mate. Like, just like that.
Get it done."
I've also been diagnosed with I fainted a couple of times. That's how this thing. Well, I fainted a couple of times, and they were heart things. They weren't just me fainting.
Yeah.
It was a situation with my heart. Ended up in hospital having a whole load of testing, but I kept losing time. I had a couple of more episodes of losing time, and they put that down to epilepsy.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But I've now found the right balance of my medication, and I'm good. Like when I say I'm good, I don't drive anymore. I don't want to drive anymore.
Okay.
But that's my memory.
And this is a byproduct, you think, from the
I have like they can't be sure about any of this stuff. I am absolutely.
Yeah.
I am absolutely sure it is.
Yeah.
I'm still, like I said about my memory and that, I do a lot of cognitive training and that type of thing. And I don't know if it's purely a placebo thing, but I always feel better about myself.
The brain
and
training.
Staying on, brain training, about staying on top of and even doing the auditions and that stuff. I like to do them now, even though I'm not I just feel like I'm doing something about it. I'm fully open to I'm not. I don't feel regretful about playing footy or anything like that. Just this is just the situation. I think we need to talk about it. I do think there needs to be a conversation about it.
Do you think the league are getting it right, or can there be there's an awareness now on the concussion injury and bringing the player off and all that? Do you think they're finding the right way through it?
They've started. I mean, I think there's they'll probably need to be more rule changes at some point. The head area does have to be protected at all costs. Because there are complications. It's and that's the truth of it.
It's the price you pay.
And I don't know what the answer is. I mean, I love rugby league. It's like boxing. I love.
I love boxing too. I can't argue the logic of.
You get points for hitting someone in the head, for knocking someone out. The idea is, hopefully you knock something. That's not a good thing. It's quite literally not a good.
And the trouble is, as you said, as 20, you never think you're going to make 60, so you're not really worried about it.
It's not even you're not going to make 60. You never think you're going to be 60. It's just like that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not that I'm like I'm never going to get old.
Yeah.
But I'm in a good spot. I do think. I feel like I'm comfortable in myself. I think the last few months of my life, I've felt like I'm in a really good spot now.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful. I feel like, I know it sounds dicky, but I do feel like incredibly fortunate, like grateful for, I have a wonderful relationship. I keep saying it, like with my mum and my brother and sister and the close friends. I feel like I have a really good family unit. Dan and I are fantastic. I'm just really grateful, mate. I just, and what you said before, I sometimes, you hear the expression about pinching yourself. I think, I've been so lucky, like the creativity, I have had so many experiences, like peaks and valleys, and valleys, and there's still peaks and valleys. And when you hit the valleys, everything seems to cave. But I found as I've gotten older, you kind of realise, time seems to stretch, it's just like you can be really in a really dark place. Just give it time. Your things will, and you kind of accept this is what I've got to go through to get better. I've got to process the hurt and the sorrow or whatever it is, the sadness or whatever it is. Yep, I just got to sit with it and process it.
It makes sense to me. I always look at the life that. There's going to be the low points. And if you think you're going to go through life without a low point, you haven't really lived a life. You've got to have your highs, you're going to have your lows. But,
and everything moves on. Everything moves on.
Yeah. Well, you look like you're in a good space. You've got a good energy. And I think, in all what you've done and the burden that you've carried, and it was a burden, and you dismiss it now, but coming out in rugby league at the time that you did, that was a burden, that was a responsibility. But I think you've made the world a better place for people that are following you.
No, I've been very fortunate, mate. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I've loved having you on I Catch Killers. It's been a great chat. And good old Johnny's brought more people together.
He's a champion, mate. Absolute champion.
Yeah, but all the best for the future and endeavours.
I'll keep you in touch. I'll keep you up to speed with the doco on that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that it's an important story to be told. And, very powerful story. But
thank you, Gary.
Thanks so much.
My
Cheers.
pleasure, mate.